Welcome to the Fantasy Football Endgame with your hosts, Pierre Camus and Chris Moncano.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Endgame. Here to talk wide receiver waiver wire pickups for Week 5. And if you want to know about all the other positions that matter, quarterback, running back, tight end, we've got episodes on those too. Separate episodes for each position. Sorry, still no kickers. Maybe one day by special request. But for now, let's talk about wide receivers. My name is Pierre, aka the Roto Chef. You can follow me at Roto_Chef. Of course, follow the Fantasy Football Endgame at Endgame Fantasy. Remember, our bottom line, our endgame is to help you win. And so to that end, let's talk about some wide receivers that you might need to look at in Week 5. We do have a couple teams on bye, and that would be the Packers and the Lions. Of course, there may be some other teams unexpectedly on bye. Let's hope not. And thankfully, the wide receiver injuries have kind of slowed down. You might be without some players, though. You might need to add some depth. Who knows what it is? Next week, you'll be without Kenny Golladay. You'll be without Devante Adams. I guess you're already without Devante Adams tonight. Sorry. But the bottom line is you might need some help. So here we go. Let's talk about the top 5 waiver wire pickups at wide receiver for Week 5. Now, wide receiver is a case where it's more at this point about quantity than quality. There's not going to be one player that's going to stand out. No breakout performer this week. Nobody that's worth emptying the wallet for. Like last week, we had Justin Jefferson was my clear top recommendation. Hopefully, you were able to snatch him because obviously that's paying off for you. Let's see who makes the top of the list this week. Although, like I said, not any one player that you must have. But for me right now, the top choice, if he's available in your league, I'm going to go with Brandon Aiyuk from San Francisco. Now, I know you look at that whole game was kind of ugly from an offensive standpoint. Sunday night, the 49ers offense didn't look great. Of course, 2 different quarterbacks now, and neither of them particularly appealing between Mullins and Beathard. Jimmy Garoppolo will come back at some point. We're not sure exactly when, but it shouldn't be too much longer. I don't think I'm too worried about that because here's the thing, even though I really wasn't even involved, and some people might be backing off of him because they think, well, he only caught 2 passes, 18 yards. But look what he did. All right. Second week in a row, he took an end around, right? He took a carry in the backfield and he went to the house. All right. Don't be surprised if it keeps happening. So first of all, I got to say he's my top pick. Just that play. If you watch that play after he made that hurdle, like that's it. I'm sold. I want to add him just so I can say I have him because of that. That was a beautiful play. But he's going to be a diverse part in this offense. He is going to be used. They're not going to throw it to George Kittle every single time, every single game. This was the case. Again, you're having these inexperienced, I guess they're sort of experienced, but maybe not top flight quarterbacks relying on their easy target here. Okay, Aiyuk will get used enough. I think he's got that boom potential. I like to have that on my bench as opposed to a really boring guy who might get you 5 or 6 points, and that's it. All right, so Aiyuk is definitely a guy to keep an eye on. Don't worry that Deebo Samuel is back. It's not like they have a lot of depth after him, so definitely keep an eye on Aiyuk and grab him if you can. Okay, so for my number 2 pick here, going to go with a player that is definitely a nice short-term ad, and that would be Scotty Miller in Tampa, the Scooter, as we all know him. So if you watch the Tampa Bay game, you'll notice, first of all, Chris Godwin was still not there, and there's a good chance he's not going to be back for Week 5 either. Mike Evans, he did play, and he had a really good game. But if you saw, he, of course, left the game for a while with that ankle injury, got kind of twisted on him. He came back, was fine, except he wasn't fine because even though he caught that touchdown later, if you notice, after that, he was walking really gingerly back to the sideline. You could tell it was bothering him, right? He wasn't 100%, but juices are flowing. The game is going on. He stayed out there, right? He kind of fought through it. But here's the thing. It might start bothering him this week, throughout the week. And even Bruce Arians said he's playing like on a leg and a half. Well, here's the other problem. They're playing on Thursday night this week. And that's not a big turnaround. So Godwin, I don't expect to go. Mike Evans, there's a chance that he either doesn't play or he's limited. So that leaves, oh, by the way, O.J. Howard might have torn his Achilles out for the season. They're hurting, right? They have almost nobody to throw to. Leonard Fournette isn't playing. LaShawn McCoy got hurt. Miller is going to have to see a huge target share. So a guy like Justin Watson maybe becomes sort of interesting as a deep streamer, but Scotty Miller's a guy you probably just want to put in your lineup, right, and add him if you can. He's already second on the team in targets. He's already showing that he can handle it. He had that connection with Brady in the preseason. So to me, Miller's a guy you go out and you plug him in your lineup this week. Not a great matchup with the Bears, but again, tied to Tom Brady, he's going to get a ton of targets. Chase the volume, right? Okay, so another little slot receiver here that's not quite super exciting, but I kind of like what Hunter Renfrow is doing lately, and you should too, because once again, Ruggs is out, Edwards is out, probably won't come back this week. There's no one else to throw to really except for Darren Waller, and we know Waller is what he is, right? Top 5 tight end. Renfrow has been not super exciting, but week 3 with the same situation, 6 catches, 84 yards and a touchdown, and then yesterday 5 catches for 57 yards. Not amazing, but again, he hits the end zone. That's a pretty nice fantasy day. It was a really tough matchup against Buffalo. Okay, so you're saying, well, this matchup is actually worse on paper against Kansas City on the road because Kansas City is actually number 1 against the wide receiver for fantasy, limiting points. But there's always a but. That's a little misleading. Again, it's a small sample because technically before tonight's game, they've only played 3 games. Not against the toughest opponents in terms of wide receivers, right? Baltimore, not known for throwing to the wideout, all right? And you know that they got behind, fell off schedule, whatnot. The Chargers, it's Keenan Allen, and that's it. And Keenan Allen actually had a really good game against them. He had like 96 yards. And so Kansas City is a pretty good defense this year, but it doesn't mean they're going to shut everybody down. And Renfrow is just going to have to see a high volume of targets. So I think he's playable. Not super exciting, but again, at this point, if you need a fill-in, he can do it for you. My number 4 pick is going to be somebody who's kind of fallen off the radar, had high hopes for maybe a third-year breakout, especially in that offense. That's Christian Kirk. Obviously, Nuck has just kind of killed all that, right? He's taken over basically every target. Kirk did catch a touchdown, but it was like a 3-yard touchdown. Nothing to get excited about. But he's been, you look at his stats, he hasn't done anything really, but he did miss a game with groin injury. He might have been limited last week still. We don't know. This is an offense is going to have to figure things out because they haven't been living up to expectations. Okay. The running game isn't working. You pass and you pass. Murray's been turning it over. They're going to have to diversify. I think they're going to figure that out. They're going to have to spread out, which is what I thought the air raid was about anyways, spreading the ball out. But I do think Kirk's going to get more involved. And for him, this is a good short-term ad, unlike what I was saying with Renfrow. Christian Kirk is going to get to play the Jets this week. That's a good secondary to exploit. I think there's a good chance he makes a big play. I'm not saying he's going to see a ton of receptions, but I think that he's somebody who could be streamable, and he's probably been dropped in a lot of leagues. So, don't give up on him yet. Scoop him up. He's a talented guy and in a good situation that, maybe we'll get better. And then speaking of the Jets, I'm going to mention the Jets receiver and somebody you've probably never heard of because I can tell you I had never heard of him until Thursday night. So Jeff Smith, I could have sworn when I saw Smith running out there, I thought it was Devin Smith. I guess he's not in the league anymore. It's Jeff Smith. So he was an undrafted free agent last year from Boston College, and he's on the Jets. So I guess they're desperate enough that they really have nobody else left. Everybody's hurt. It's not going to change anytime soon, right? Crowder came back. But even with Crowder back, right, Brashad Perriman's not back. Hogan's banged up. They just don't have a lot of other options. And Jeff Smith kind of came on, right, just because they had nobody else to throw to. So he had 7 catches for 81 yards on 9 targets. If there's a connection there, it's going to turn into something. I'm not saying you want to roster any Jets if you can help it. But if you're in a deep enough league, and you're looking for a flyer, this could be kind of a breakout. All right. I said could be. So anyways, deep enough leagues, you have the space, you're looking for a receiver who could perform. Why not? Take a chance. All right. So if you haven't done so already, guys, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we're here each and every week with our top 5 waiver wire picks at every position that matters, and start sit advice and game day live for all the latest injury updates, plus other original content. We're here to help you win. That's it. That's the bottom line. All right. Thanks for watching.